Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing the eyeshadow palette tag. So this tag was started by Samantha March and Allie Glines. Allie Glines is one of my favorite YouTubers, and I watch Samantha March here and there. I really like her and Shop My Stash, and I just really like the two girls' videos and their channels, so I will link them down below. But they originally started this tag, and this is all about my eyeshadow palettes. So I'm not sure how many eyeshadow palettes I have, but I have them here next to me, and I'm going to be going through them to show them to you and palettes they decided that were going to be on this list. So the first category is the newest palette. Show your newest palette. So I actually just placed an order through Profusion Cosmetics, and I just got those palettes in the mail. I bought a lot of different things, and I actually bought 3 eyeshadow palettes, and I did not realize that I bought all 3 of these. But these are all 3 my newest palettes. I'm very excited about these, so I'll just show you guys these palettes. So I got this one in an Everyday Like Eyes set. It came with an eyeliner, which is crap. If you're getting this set, don't expect this eyeliner to be good because it's crap. Like, it doesn't do anything. But it also came with an eyeshadow primer, and I've heard a lot of good things about Profusion's eyeshadow primer, so I'm really excited about that. It reminds me a lot of the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof eyeshadow base in the shade Light, specifically because it's about what this is. But this is the Profusion 7-Shade Multi-Finish Eyeshadow Palette, and it's like the nudes, I think it's what it's called. But this is what it looks like. So it's kind of like a really pretty everyday kind of sienna palette. This shade here is like a hot mess. It really is. Like, I was swatching it. I don't know if you guys can see how chalky this is, but it's like, I don't know, and it's like a weird formula. It's kind of stiff. I really can't explain it, but it's not good. But all the rest of these are super pigmented, and I think this whole set together for the eyeliner, the eyeshadow primer, and the eyeshadow palette was like $7, which is fantastic. The next one that I have here is the Mauves palette by Profusion. So I have been really into pink eyeshadow and just pink in general. Obviously I'm wearing this pink shirt, but I have been really into wearing like pinky mauvey tone eyeshadows, and this palette, you guys, is beautiful. I love all of the shades in here. This deep shade here is so pretty. It's got some awesome transition shades like this and this, but you can also deepen up your look. The shimmers in here, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this shimmer here, if you have the Huda Nude palette, this is like one of those shimmers in there, and it's got like kind of like glitter flecks in it. I really can't explain it, but that's the shade right there. It is so pretty. The shimmers in here are spot on. They're so good, and all the mattes in here are really pigmented. Like I said, I've only swatched these because I just literally got them in the mail today. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is $5. $5. So this last one here is the Nude Bliss palette, and it looks like this. So it's obviously more nudes, but I've been trying to find shades like this and this for springtime because I have been trying to like branch out of my eyeshadow kind of box that I'm in. Most days I don't wear eyeshadow unless it's something really simple like I have on today, but this has some really nice glitter shades in it and really nice mattes. It has this pressed glitter here, which I'm not a fan of pressed glitter, so I'll probably never use that, but it's really got some nice metallic shades in here as well. This purple is beautiful, and I can't wait to play with this on my eyes. So the next category is Show Your Oldest palette, and it's a toss-up between the Jaclyn Hill original Morphe palette. This thing is used and abused, and it's between this and the Dream Street palette by Kathleen and Colourpop. I can't remember which one I've had the longest. I feel like I've had the Jaclyn Hill one the longest because it did come out in 2017, and I think this came out in 2018, but I may be mistaken. I'm not positive, but it's a toss-up between these two, and I love these palettes. So the next category is Show Your Most Expensive palette. So I think it's probably the Tati Beauty palette. This palette is absolutely gorgeous, and I just put my hand all in it. This is the Tati Beauty palette. This is really nice. The formula in here is amazing. This row never gets used. This is the pressed glitter row up here, and I never ever use it. But this is my most expensive palette. I did pay $65 for it, but I think about it, and it's a very, very nice palette. It's very weighted. It's got a huge mirror in here. It's got all of your neutral shades in it with some fun pops of pink and like the black kind of silvery blue row. But it is my most expensive palette, and I really, really like it. So the next category is the most affordable palettes. So I don't really know if these are considered palettes. I've seen a lot of people include them, so I'm going to include them as well. It's the e.l.f. Bite Size eyeshadow palettes. They're $3. I have the shade Cream and Sugar and the shade Truffles. These are fantastic for the price. $3 and you get 4 shades, and they're honestly some of e.l.f.'s best eyeshadows. I have another one of their big palettes that has like 18 shades in it or something like that, and I like these actually better. I wish they had more shades of like a neutral quad, because I love the shades in this Cream and Sugar quad, but it only has like the best transition shade it has is this light one here, and it is a little too light for me, but I just really, really like the quality of these, especially for the price. So the next category is an everyday palette. I don't use this every day, but it is a very good everyday palette. It is the Tartelette and Bloom palette. This is what it looks like. It's got a lot of neutral leaning cooler tones, so if you like that, then I would recommend this one for my everyday palette. There's not a whole lot of shimmers in here, which I tend to wear shimmers on my eyes if I'm going to wear eyeshadow, because I just like the way it looks on me. But this is a really good, nice, neutral leaning cool palette. And if you want something that has like a very wide variety and you like kind of larger palettes, the Colourpop Bare Necessities palette is also very, very good. It's got more warm tones in it, and it's also got cool tones and neutral tones. This one is like $39, but it's got more of a variety in it. So the next category is most colorful, and I would have to go with the Anastasia and Jackie Aina palette. This palette is beautiful, packaging and the inside. But it is definitely my most colorful palette. So it's got a lot of pinks and purples and reds, but it's also got neutral tones, and it's got like a duochrome like green shadow. I don't wear this a ton. I wish I wore it more. I like wearing it more in the fall time because of the colors in there, but this is definitely my most colorful palette. So the next category are and sorry about my dog, he's freaking having a fit. So the next category is the smallest palette, and it's really a toss-up between the e.l.f. Bite Size eyeshadow palettes or the Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette. This is a really nice palette if you're not willing to take the plunge on Natasha Denona shadows. I wish that this palette was more like this one in terms of like deepening the crease and also having a nice transition shade. It's got more shimmers in it. Obviously this one's 5 instead of 4. For the price, I still would go with these. These are really, really nice eyeshadows, and I really want to buy a Natasha Denona palette, but they're $129, and I don't think I can do it. So the next category is the biggest eyeshadow palette, and my biggest eyeshadow palette is the Jaclyn Hill palette. It's got 35 shades in it. It's $39. It's definitely the biggest palette that I own. So I guess I will stick with this palette because the next category is palette with the best memory. The reason I say that this is the palette with the best memory for me is me and my husband got married about 2.5 weeks before this came out in 2017, and we did not have a lot of money. We still don't have a ton of money, but I really, really wanted this. I had been looking at it and seeing promo photos for it, and I had been just really wanting it, and I really wish that it would have came out for my wedding day because I would have definitely used this on my wedding day. Like I said, we were just newly married, and it was just a really special time for me then. But it's just got a really nice memory for me because it did come out so close after I got married. So next category is palette worth the hype. I'll have to go with the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. So this is a very, very nice neutral leaning warm toned palette. This black in here is the best black I've ever used. The only gripe I have with this palette is there's not really very many light shimmer tones that look good on my skin tone in particular. I'm very fair, and it's hard for me to find any kind of light shimmers that really reflect and look good on my skin tone. This one's definitely worth the hype. The $42 price tag is very expensive, but this is just really, really good. And if you're into something that you can use every single day and never get tired of, this is it. I use this like probably about 6 months straight every single day, and I just really like it. So the next one is a palette not worth the hype. So I'm not going to say that this particular brand is not worth the hype because I love this brand, but it's the Colourpop Blush Crush palette. I wish that I would have gotten the Nude Mood palette when these came out. I was looking for more pink tone shadows. The reason I say that I don't think this palette in particular is worth the hype is because it's not exactly the shades that I thought it was going to be, and most of these shades have glitter in them. There's like 3 matte shades in here that don't have any shimmers in it, and then this one, and this one, all 3 have shimmers in it, and it just makes the shadow a little less desirable. I don't really know how to explain it, but I feel like I thought I was going to be able to make like more pink looks out of this where it's more purple, but you really couldn't tell that online. I do like the shimmers in here, but honestly I don't know what the hype is around the Super Shock shadow formula. I know they make their singles like this, but it's just not my favorite. You can kind of see the swatch over there, but that's the problem I have with these. I know this is supposed to be kind of a lighter eyeshadow palette, but at least give us a Super Shock shadow or like a shimmer shadow that's going to actually give us some pigment and show up on our lid. I just don't like this palette very much, so I don't think that this collection here, or at least this eyeshadow palette, is worth the hype from Colourpop. So the next category is a favorite palette from a favorite brand, and I'm having a hard time choosing because I love Colourpop eyeshadows. They're so good. You guys have seen I have the Bare Necessities, the Kathleen Lights, the Going Coconuts palette. I think I'm going to have to go with the Bare Necessities palette. The reason I like this so much is because there's just so much different variety in this palette that you can just do so many things with. Like I said, there's a lot of great warm tones, there's a lot of great cool tones, there's mauves, there's excellent shimmers in this palette. The shimmers in this palette is so beautiful, especially these ones on the top row here, so like these 3 here. I love Colourpop's formula. Their shimmer formula is not my absolute favorite. I wish it was a little bit more thick in terms of like sticking to your lid and not having fallout, but if you use your brush wet, you really don't have that much trouble, and I think I would go with the Bare Necessities palette again. So the last category is the most used palette, and I'm going to take this kind of 2 different ways because I want to show you 2 different palettes here. So my most used palette of all time is definitely the Jaclyn Hill palette. You can see, guys, like I said before, this palette has been beat to heck and back. I'm actually missing this shadow completely. I've went through it. I've almost went through this entire shimmer shade here, this entire shimmer shade here. I've hit pan on these, hit pan on the darker mattes. I've used this palette so much and it gets my hands so dirty. I've even thought about repurchasing it to see if the formula has changed on this because I heard it had. But I've also thought about repurchasing it just because I love the shades in here. And I use this a lot when I do bridal makeup and like prom makeup just because there's so much variety in here and I like warm tones. So that would be like my most used of all time. But my most used on like an everyday basis is the e.l.f. New Classics palette. This is a really awesome palette, you guys. So I don't like the shimmers in this as much as I do like the ones in the Bite Size eyeshadow palette. This one is just more stiff and doesn't give off a lot of pigment, but I think that this was kind of the point of this palette because this is a very good everyday palette, and a lot of the times every single day most people don't want something that's just super beaming on their eyes, so having something like this that is a little bit more subdued is really a good thing to have in your collection. So it's got some awesome transition shades, it's got more cooler tones, got more warmer tones. You can just do a lot of different eyeshadow looks in terms of like a neutral everyday look with this palette. I think it's $14 for 18 shades. The thing I love about this palette the most is the matte shades and just how well they blend and how pigmented they are. So that wraps up this video. That was the eyeshadow palette tag. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you to Samantha March and Allie Glines for starting this tag. I feel like this is kind of like old school YouTube when I started watching it in middle school. So yeah, I really liked this tag and I really liked being able to show you guys my eyeshadow palette. If you see any palettes in here that you want to see like a video on, I may be doing like a Profusion video here soon because I know that those are kind of more popular right now and they are pretty inexpensive. So if you see any palettes in here that you would like me to do a tutorial with, please let me know, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!